Hi guys, Konstantin here, and today we're going to talk about a very important topic in terms of sales and online marketing. I've received a lot of questions on different sales calls, and people were asking me, how can we market an info product if I don't have any existing audience? And the answer is quite simple. Without further ado, let's dive straight into the flowchart and I'll explain what we're going to present. So, first up, how we market without an audience. First up, we're gonna cover the fundamentals of the strategy, why audience doesn't matter in this case. We're gonna show you the flows, the costs and ROI breakdown, and why this is an infinite money glitch. We're gonna start with comparing paid versus organic traffic without a following. So let's start with organic traffic. So starting with organic content, you need to ask yourself, do I have more than 5,000 followers? If yes, then you need to be spending months and months to gain traction and attention, which eventually is not the perfect scenario for growth. And actually, the conversion rate from videos is extremely low because there's a low buyer intent and you can't actually track what's happening behind the video. Sure, you can track the views, you can track the link clicks and whatever, but there's no actual key parameter index tracking, which actually means you cannot physically optimize the video to convert more. If you don't have more than 5,000 followers, then you should definitely go to the solution of paid traffic, and in that case, meta ads. So why meta ads? Meta ads actually provide a high targeted reach. They're predictable and easily scalable, and here you have actual KPIs and conversion tracking. So in terms of ads, there are numerous different ways how we can transition a complete stranger into a paying customer. So let's start with the most basic approach, which is direct traffic to landing page. So why this isn't the best approach? So here you are approaching a person completely cold. That meaning you need longer sales cycles, trust isn't built, and the high CPA is a really big problem to tackle. In most cases, that would be $200 to $600, which eventually brings low profit margins, or you may be even in the situation of a break even or low conversion rate. So why should you build traffic to a pre-built webinar? Well, actually, let's start with what is a webinar. Webinar is a normally pre-built presentation showing a person what you do, why you do it, and how to solve someone's problem. So why a webinar? A webinar costs no money to create. It's building trust across all your social platforms. Also, getting a person on a webinar, so getting them to sign up, is fairly easy because most of the webinars we do are free. So how this is cheaper than the cold approach? So the actual cost per acquisition for someone to sign up for the webinar is anywhere between $5 to $25. So why actually do we need to create the webinar, and why actually is the cost per acquisition so low? So the webinar sign up is free. People can click the ad, sign up for the webinar. Even if they don't show up, basically you have a lead. So when that lead comes to the webinar, they receive 2 hours of value. So 2 hours of you explaining them and showing them results and showing them how to find a solution to whatever problem they may have. And that creates the wow factor. People are going to be amazed by the value and the content that you've created free for them. And then that lead turns into a customer eventually. If not, if the lead doesn't buy from the webinar, we have warm AI automated reach sequences. So after a person has signed up for the webinar, we have their data, email, name, phone number, and we plug those into an AI automated sequence to reach out to the customer again and again intentionally, so they can get more familiar with what you do and eventually sign up as a client. And also we do retargeting ad campaigns. So the CPA for retargeting ad campaign is around $30 to $100. So why is the CPA so low? Because eventually people have been on that webinar. They are already familiar with you, and the ad that you're going to be using for the conversion campaign or retargeting campaign is going to be different and specific to the people that have been on the webinar and are already familiar with your content and your service. So basically with that CPA, you get 8 to 7 times more return on ad spend. And with that, I'm going to break down the numbers in just a second. Here we have the ROI and profit on a $1,000 course, when we set up an example with $1,000 marketing budget. So let's start with organic. With organic, with 2,000 marketing budget, you would need to hire an editing team. You need to spend your whole entire budget on an editing team. And with that being said, when they create the videos, you need to wait months and months to gain traction, to gain followers, to gain attention. And eventually, as I said, there's no actual KPI to track the results. And in this case, the cost per acquisition and the return on investment is a question mark. So continuing with cold ads and the cold approach, we have a high cost per acquisition. So as I said previously, it's going to be around $600 per sale. Here we have $200 to $600, but let's say worst case scenario, we have $600 per sale. And in that case, that means with $1,000 budget, we make 3.33 sales in total, equaling a total revenue of $3,330. And the ROI on that investment into marketing is going to be 66.5%. And don't get me wrong, 66% ROI, it's pretty decent, but it's not what the webinar conversions do. The profit here is around $1,000. So basically with $2,000, you're gonna bring 1,300 profit. It's not that bad, but let's say we do webinar ads. So with webinar ads, we have low cost per acquisition. We have $125 per sale. That means combined the ad spend for webinar and retargeting ads. As I said previously, we take the worst case scenario conversion rates, and here to sign up for the webinar, it would be $25, and to sign up from the retargeting ads, it's gonna be $100. So in total, $125 for a sale on a $1,000 course. So with $2,000 marketing budget, $2,000 marketing budget, you get 16 sales total, equaling $16,000 in revenue. And that's pretty much 700% return on investment. And dividing $2,000 from 16,000, you are left with $14,000 pure profit from running a simple 2-hour webinar into your client acquisition system.